Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni muli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jadley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast, an iHeartRadio Best Kids and Family Podcast Award nominee. We are so delighted that you're joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. We are really excited to welcome the Space Gal Emily Calandrelli back to the Reading with Your Kids podcast to celebrate her Ada Lace series. Before we invite Emily back into the studio, we want to let you know we have a brand new Reading with Your Kids certified great read. It's Okay to Be Happy by Tashay Mason. This is the second book in Tashay's A Child's Journey Through Grief series. Her first book, But I Don't Want to Say Goodbye, was named a certified great read in 2020. It's Okay to Be Happy is a really valuable resource for any family experiencing the loss of a loved one. Talking with kids about their feelings of grief, it's tough. It's really, really tough. Thankfully, a book like It's Okay to Be Happy helps us help kids understand that it's okay to move forward and that you'll be there to support them. It's Okay to Be Happy by Tashay Mason is a Reading with Your Kids certified great read. You can read our entire review on our website, readingwithyourkids.com. And if you are the author of a fantastic children's book and would be interested in having our panel evaluate your book, please go to readingwithyourkids.com, click on the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page, and scroll on down to Certified Great Reads. Congratulations to Tashay Mason. It's Okay to Be Happy is our latest Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read. Join us right now from Orange County in California. Our guest today is here to celebrate the release of the box set of her wonderful Ada Lace series. Please welcome back to the show the Space Gal Emily Calandrelli. Hey, Emily, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, usually pretty good, but three-letter words don't usually trip me up. But today the Space Gal kind of knocked me down. But otherwise, you're doing good.
It can be tricky. It's a tongue tie.
Thanks. Congratulations on the series coming out as a box set. That's a wonderful achievement.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really nice to be able to see them all come together because you work on these books, individually over the course of a few years, and to be able to see all of those stories all at once, it feels really fun.
And it must be fun, too, as a reader. I don't know about you, but especially now, since the pandemic started, I've gotten so used to binging on series. When I ever, start a series that hasn't already been completely released yet, and I come to episode 4 or 5, and I find out I have to wait a week for the next one, I pull what little hair I have left out of my head because it's like, I don't want to do that anymore.
I know. I am the exact same way. I binge series all of the time. And so it's nice to be able to have created this framework of characters and go on all of these different types of adventures, because with each one, you kind of get to know the people a little bit better. You get to see different sides of their personalities and showcase their different talents. And you just get to do a lot of different things that you couldn't do with just one story.
Mm-hmm. So let's remind everybody, Ada Lace, she's a third grader.
Yes, that's right. She's a third grader who is from West Virginia, which is where I'm originally from, who moves to California, and she has a new set of friends, school, and all of these new experiences that she's going through. And at the same time, she is a kid who loves science and technology, and she finds all of these mysteries in her new life, and she wants to solve those mysteries using science, using technology and gadgets that she builds herself. And so her and her new best friend Nina go on all of these adventures to solve these mysteries in her new town.
That's really cool. And as I recall, when you were on the show the first time, I think you told me that you were inspired to write this book to help help let little girls know that it's okay for them to play with things and to check out science.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this is the type of book that I wish that I had when I was a kid, which is a book about adventure and science and technology that features a little girl as the main character. And Ada is this kid who I kind of wish that I was more like when I was a kid. I myself went through engineering. I studied science and engineering for 8 years. And so I found my love of science and engineering, but I found mine much later. When I was a kid, I was a little bit worried about trying hard things. I was worried about taking on a challenge that I might fail at. And Ada is not. Ada is not afraid to tinker. She's not afraid to try something that maybe she won't be good at because she's not afraid to ask for help and try again and keep at it. And she has this level of grit that I think is really important for every kid to learn.
I like that you're encouraging kids to ask for help, because I know in my own life that's been the big, as I look back in my life, it seems like I've spent so much time trying to let everybody know that I know all this stuff that I really don't know. And I think a lot of us are guilty of that.
I think so too. And I think when we're a kid, it's easier to ask questions, right? It's a very normal thing for a kid to go throughout the world and ask questions. Why does this happen? Why do we see that? Why does this happen in our world? But when we get older, for some reason along the way, we get embarrassed at the things that we don't know, which is a little bit silly because none of us can learn everything there is to learn in all the fields of life. And so it's kind of ridiculous that we find that embarrassment somewhere along the way. And so I keep encouraging kids to pursue that lifelong curiosity because there's always new things to learn.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've discovered is that when you finally get up the courage to ask someone about something they love to tell you about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes I think we're nervous about asking questions because we don't want to bother somebody. We don't want to really impede on their time or waste their time. But what you'll find is exactly what you said. When you ask somebody something that they're passionate about, sometimes you can't get them to stop talking about that thing. And so people are really flattered when you ask them about something that they know a lot about or that they care a lot about. And so, yeah, asking questions can sometimes be one of the most flattering things you can do for someone.
Yeah. I remember one time I was I was in Virginia, not too far away from the West Virginia border, and I was exploring some caverns, and I was the only one on the tour that day, and the guide was taking me in, and he was doing the tour with the jokes and everything, and I just said to him, I know you said you're a geologist. Why don't you stop with the jokes and just tell me what fascinates you about this cavern? And man, he just went off, and I don't remember a lot of what he taught me that day, but I just know it was so much fun seeing how much he loved sharing that with me.
Yeah, pointing out people's passions. I think it makes them feel special because they have this unique knowledge that a lot of people don't. And so it's fun to share that gift with others. Yeah. Definitely.
So where did you find the grit and the courage and everything to jump in? Because there wasn't a lot of role models for you. There weren't a lot of women in STEM when you were studying engineering.
Yeah, for me, I'm the first person in my family to pursue a degree in science or engineering or anything in STEM. And for me, I came across it because I was really interested in the money aspect of it all. I Googled all of the majors you could major in college, and I looked at their starting salaries, and I found that engineers made the most money. And I thought, I'm going to go into this. I'm going to go into college, and it's going to be boring and hard. I'm not going to have any life, but I'm going to end up with a good job in the end. And yes, you do end up with a really good job, but it's none of those other things. I was so surprised by how much of an adventure I had through college. All of the incredibly fun things I was able to do as an undergrad, as a young student. I was able to travel the world studying science and engineering. I was able to fly on something called the Vomit Comet, which allowed me to float weightless like an astronaut. I got to do research in the middle of the desert and wear astronaut suits and pretend to be on a Martian habitat. I went to China to do research. I worked at different NASA centers. I just had the most fun adventures and collected stories from around the world to fill a novel. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't pursue STEM. So for me, my story is all about kind of reluctantly joining STEM, but then enthusiastically staying and becoming so passionate about it that I try to get all the other people that I know and all the young kids in the next generation to join STEM and follow in these footsteps too.
Yeah, my daughter's fiance has a degree in electrical and mechanical engineering, and as he was going through college, he would tell me about having internships working to try to create a robot lawnmower and a flying car and all these great things. A lot of them didn't work out, but that's part of the fun of science, is just trying things and failing.
Exactly. I mean, it's a process of learning. And if you're trying to figure out what's true about the world, what's true about the universe, what's true about nature, science is all about asking questions and pursuing the answers to those questions with grit, with perseverance, because you're not always going to find the answers right away. But scientists are really good at following a systematic structure to try to find the right answer to those questions. And then with engineering, it's leveraging science to build things in the world that can be useful, like little machines or inventions or whatever it is, to help make the world a better place, to help make people's lives a little bit better. And so it's really fun to be able to learn the language of the universe and understand what's true in the world, but also be able to put that language to use to create useful inventions to help make the world a better place too.
Yeah. I know this is an unfair question. You should never ask a parent who their favorite child is, but of the 4 Ada Lace books, is there a favorite of yours? Is there a favorite subject that you cover?
Oh, wow. I mean, so if I had to pick, it would probably be the 3rd book in the series, Ada Lace, Take Me to Your Leader, because that one was the one that was chosen to be part of NASA's Storytime from Space program, which is a really cool read aloud program where they select very few children's science books and launch them on a rocket to the International Space Station and have an astronaut read them aloud on the space station. And there's a video of the whole thing. And that book was NASA's very first chapter book that was chosen to be read in its entirety on the space station, which I was incredibly honored by. I was able to go to the launch and watch my book launch to space. And so now there's this very cool read aloud of an astronaut reading Ada Lace, Take Me to Your Leader at storytimefromspace.com. And it's the coolest thing. It's the coolest thing.
That must have been a fantastic. I can't imagine how you felt the minute you got the news.
Oh my gosh. It was a dream come true because sending anything to space is such a unique experience. I've had friends that have sent projects into space and science experiments into space and art to space. And it was really, really lovely to be able to say that I've done that too, that I've created something that has traveled to space.
Yeah, so cool. Did you get the book back?
I have not gotten the book back. I forget where it is. I think it's in, they're keeping it for some sort of museum display to showcase all the books that have gone to space.
Well,
but I forget exactly where it is.
That's pretty cool. I mean, it'd be cool to have in your house, but it's even cooler knowing that people are going to be able to see it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So how did you become the Space Gal?
Yeah, I mean, that all started when I was an undergrad, because I studied aerospace engineering in undergrad. I dual majored in mechanical and aerospace engineering at West Virginia University. And then I went to MIT to study aeronautics and astronautics engineering. But I focused more on the space side, because when people say aerospace, it's a mix between aeronautics and astronautics. And so that's a mix between stuff that flies in the air and stuff that flies through space. And throughout my studies, I always focused on NASA-related projects, mostly space-related projects. And my nickname, because my full name is Emily Calandrelli, my nickname is MCal, and so my handle for the longest time was MCal the Space Gal. And so I just shortened it after a while, after I got my TV show, so that it was easier for people to remember, from MCal Space Gal to the Space Gal.
Awesome. Well, speaking of TV, you have a great series on Netflix called Emily's Wonder Lab.
That's right. Yeah. So that was quite a dream come true a few years back, where I got the call from Netflix that said that they wanted to not only film my science show, but at the time when I was pitching it, I was pregnant. And they were totally fine with me filming this big science show on Netflix 9 months pregnant. And so now there is a very, very pregnant lady on Netflix teaching kids about science, which is the most beautiful representation. I'm so proud of it, because I think it challenges these stereotypes that we have of what a scientist looks like. And it shows young kids that they can be parents and also love science. Because while it was very obvious that I was very pregnant in the show, we didn't talk about it. It wasn't something that was a topic of conversation. It wasn't a subject of any episode. It just was. I just happened to be pregnant while doing these science experiments, which is exactly what it was in the show. And so it was really wonderful to be able to help provide that representation and help kids kind of challenge what they think a scientist looks like.
Yeah, yeah. Wouldn't it be great if we're able to erase all of those old stereotypes of the scientist with the white coat and the gray hair sticking all in all the different directions?
Exactly. Yeah, there's just so many different types of people that find that draw to science that I would love to add a little bit more diversity to those images that we have.
Yeah. Well, speaking of encouraging kids, I have an amazing 17-year-old niece who is incredibly important to me, and we spend so much time together. And when she first came into our lives, when she was in the 8th grade, we were on a walk, taking Augie the Wonder Dog for a walk, and I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a detective, and I'm going to be an engineer. And I said, yeah, okay. And now she's 17, and she is actually taking an engineering course at a university here while she's finishing up her high school. What's the best way for me to continue to support and encourage her to make her dreams come true?
I mean, for me, I had a really supportive family. So while I didn't know anybody who studied science or engineering, I had a family who was always interested in the work that I was doing. And that constant interest that you show in the things that they're passionate about can really be all the support that they need to have that encouragement to continue on. Because I think there's a lot of families out there who may not know that much about science or engineering and are worried that that's going to maybe stifle their kids' dreams. But that's definitely not the case. It wasn't the case for me. I just had parents that were very supportive of the stuff that I was interested in, and they took the time and effort to listen to the things that I was passionate about. I think in addition to that, kind of going the extra mile to introduce your kids to role models that kind of look like them. And that can be people who work in different fields in your community. You may be able to reach out to an engineer or a scientist in your community to introduce them to and just have them talk about what their job is like. But it can also just be someone online. Like there's a lot of people that do the work that I do, which is considered science communication, where we talk about science. We have science degrees ourselves, and we talk about science in various fields on social media and TV and through books. I have friends that talk about the field of medicine and immunology on Instagram. Science Sam, Jessica Rivera is a really good one. I have a friend that likes to rap about science. Dr. Raven, the Science Maven, is a really good person to reach out to too. All of these people, they do the same work that I do, which is basically add a little entertainment and communication side to science. And I think introducing your kids to those people can go a long way.
And what a great time we're living at now. We don't have to wait until Saturday morning and hope that we're home at 9 o'clock where the one kid's science show is going to be on. We can go online and find people on the different social media sites and And what a great way to introduce your kid to social media. Let's do something productive other than to just do the dumb TikTok challenges that are going to get yourself hurt.
That's right. I think that there's a lot of different things. A lot of people learn in so many different ways. I, for one, love TikTok, and I am big on TikTok. I love talking about science on TikTok. I think that's a really fun way to educate kids about science because it's really fast-paced, and you can challenge yourself to say, like, how could I explain this complex topic in 60 seconds? And there's always a way to do it. There's always a way to do it. You just have to be a little bit creative. And that's a good way to capture a lot of people's attention on certain topics. But yeah, everybody learns in a little bit different way. Someone wants to learn through a TV show. Sometimes people want to learn through books. Sometimes people want to learn through TikTok videos. You know, you just kind of have to meet people where they're at and educate them from there.
Yeah. You know, it seems like you have so much knowledge in all these different areas. Is there anything that you don't know a lot about, that you're really curious about, that you're really excited to learn?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think through this pandemic, I have learned that immunology and epidemiology and that entire field of biology is something that I know very, very little about. And it's been fun to kind of understand how our body works and how it fights off viruses and how vaccines work. I think these things are just so fascinating because people have been studying them for, centuries, and they have been one of the best inventions that humankind has ever created. It's been one of the ways that we've been able to keep the human race going over the course of, multiple pandemics, worldwide pandemics. And so learning that side of science has been really, really fascinating to me, specifically because it's so relevant right now.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Well, I know people are going to want to know where they can go to find out more about the Ada Lace series in the box set and find out more about you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so my website is thespacegal.com. You can find the Ada Lace series anywhere books are sold, bookshop.org, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, really anywhere, your local bookstore especially. And I am everywhere online on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at the Space Gal.
We've had a great time speaking to the Space Gal, Emily Calandrelli. Hey, Emily, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Dr. Theanne Griffith. She is a neuroscientist who's written a series of books called The Magnificent Makers. I'm telling you, I get to talk to the Space Gal. I get to talk to neuroscientists. It's a blast. You're going to love meeting Theanne Griffith. If you're the author of a fantastic children's book, you may be frustrated at how difficult it is to let people know about your book. There's literally thousands of books published every single month. That's right. And if you are a debut author, if you're publishing independently, if you're publishing with a hybrid company, even if you're publishing with a traditional publishing house, it is hard to get noticed amongst this crowd of books that are published every single month. We can help you. We have a number of really powerful ways to help you let the world know about your great book. Of course, you can be a guest on the podcast. Being a guest, it's fun. It's easy. It gives you the chance to tell thousands of people about your book, and it doesn't cost a thing. No need to pay anybody. To facilitate your visit, all you need to do is go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page, scroll on down to be a guest. You may want to take advantage of our Certified Great Read program. You heard at the beginning of the show that Tisha Mason's book, It's Okay to Be Happy, is our latest Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read. If our panel of parents, teachers, and kids believe that your book is worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, it becomes a certified great read, and with that status comes a number of really powerful tools that can help your book stand out. Let parents know that your book is worthy of their consideration. And right now, we are offering authors a package of services that will promote your book on our podcast to our 50,000 plus social media followers and get messages about your book on a nationwide network of pedestrian billboards. All you need to do is to go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on that Authors Click Here button, scroll on down to Be a Guest, or Certified Great Read, or Promotional Packages. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, want to start by thanking our guest, the Space Gal Emily Calandrelli. Please be sure to check out the Ada Lace series and also check out Emily's Wonder Lab on Netflix. Also want to thank my team, Alejandro Doherty, Fatima Khan, Rory Brady, Michael Murphy. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you on the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.